In your opinion, what do you think men struggle with when it comes to intimacy with himself or with their partner?
I think communication is a big thing, and speaking openly and freely based on past experiences. With my experiences, that's been my learnings, key learnings. So I think communicating and feeling judged on a level as well.
Yeah.
And having to work through those judgments, whether they're right or wrong doesn't really matter. Just kind of work through them and know that nothing ever is right or wrong. It's just how you're feeling at the time. So that's kind of, that's my experience.
I think men struggle with sitting in their feminine energy. You know, men have both feminine and masculine, and the feminine, this place of intuition and sensuality and compassion often is something that's there for men, but there's shame associated with communicating that to people, because it perhaps makes them look vulnerable or less like a manly man. But I think in a healthy expression of both the feminine and the masculine, that true intimacy can be found.
Probably one of the biggest things, if I'm going to generalise about men, is probably around expression and sharing feelings and sharing emotions. My dad, who I guess was my main role model growing up, my dad and my grandfather as well, because Dad wasn't always around. They're from a generation where you don't really share a lot of feelings. I remember my father crying twice when I was a child. Once when his mother died, and the other time when my family were sort of breaking up, and he realised that. So yeah, I think that's a big challenge for a lot of men, is sort of sharing emotions and feeling that that's okay. In fact, better than okay, that it's actually really, really necessary.
Yeah, it's healthy to be vulnerable.
Yeah. So that's, and that's, to be honest, that's probably had an impact on me. It's probably helped form who I am, for better or worse. So yeah, that'd be one of the main challenges.
I think confidence, self-esteem, they're not able to communicate. I think that's the biggest thing in sensuality, the communication, and being able to, in the moment, be able to express yourself and use the correct words. Because really communication's everything in that context.
That's a great question, actually. I think the deepest thing that men struggle with, which probably I also have at some point, is being a sense of being okay to be vulnerable. Being okay to allow yourself to feel the deeper range of emotions, be it moving past that guilt, that shame, that fear of exposing yourself in a real, loving, tender way to another human being. I think there is a sense of fear, and that sense of, I'm falling in love with this expression, I'm falling in love with this concept, I'm starting to enjoy and like myself as who I am, and there is so much, this verve of life is flowing through me. There is a tender moment where a part of, I think for men, there is a freak out that happens. Like, oh, okay, something is happening, and it seems a little bit alien to our nature. And that is the first impediment, in a way, that we struggle with, coming to that point of self-awareness and self-recognition. And of course, it also gets reflected in, with the other person. So that's one thing. And then there is the shame and guilt around, like, oh, is that how she has always seen me, but just that I was not evolved to that point, right? When that realization lands, it's like, oh, am I so far behind in my journey in terms of my self-awareness? So somehow that whole expression of shame, guilt, self-awareness and vulnerability, it's a bit of a cocktail that kind of holds things back for men.